On November 19th, Malaysia goes to a snap general election. I spoke to Arul from the Socialist Party of Malaysia, PSM, just 2 weeks before this election. Welcome, Arul. First of all, this general election that's coming up, it's a snap election. Why did the government call a snap election?
Okay, election is due somewhere next year, May or June. And but you see but before this general election, there were 3 state elections, which the National Front, Barisan Nasional, the current ruling party, which was also the party which ruled for 60 years in Malaysia, won quite good. You know, they regained 2/3 majorities in what do you call that, in Johor state election. Before that, in Malacca state election. So they wanted a general election simply because this is the best timing for them, and also because there is what is called in Malaysia known as the court cluster. These are people like Najib. The current Najib is already in jail. Some say he's not really in jail, but he is supposed to technically in jail. Then, of course, you have Zaid Hamidi, who's the president of UMNO, who's facing 47 charges. So all indication is he's going to go in next, you know. So his faction is pushing for a general election because it's only if they get a general election and they're very confident of winning it, and they know that this is also the monsoon season, voter turnout won't be good. And in the last election, Pakatan won because voter turnout was something like 80%, 82%. But in the last 3 state election, voter turnout was like 60%, 65%. So with a low voter turnout, this is the best time they can take over the government, because the current government is a mixed government between 2 coalitions, Barisan Nasional and Perikatan Nasional. Okay, they're all former breakaways from UMNO. So now they don't have a clear 2/3. The Attorney General is someone chosen by the previous government, by Perikatan Nasional, Muhyiddin Yassin. So in that sense, you will have a situation where he needs to call this election so that they can win, and then maybe change the Attorney General after that, and then maybe drop the charges against them.
So there is at least one agenda is to try and stop these prosecutions for the very open corruption of the Najib regime. But yes, will they possibly also gain from being seen to have at least successfully prosecuted Najib? Who will get the benefit for that? In the public's mind, that was a big event in the last year.
See, that's why that is the test we need to see, because all the previous election, Najib was still outside. He was the main campaign person for the National Front, for Barisan Nasional. This time, Najib is inside. And of course, what they initially said was Ismail Sabri, the current Prime Minister, will be the future Prime Minister if they win, you know. So Zahid was giving that assurance, and Ismail Sabri was trying to say that he never intervened in the court process. It will be a clean UMNO after this. But the problem is, very recently, just yesterday, some of the ministers in Ismail Sabri appointed cabinet was not given a chance to defend their seat in the coming election. So they were dropped. So everybody knows now Ismail Sabri might not be the prime minister. And that is now might be used to say that, Ismail Sabri won't be the prime minister, you'll end up with Zaid Hamidi, so you might as well don't vote for Barisan. So this is the post-Najib, this is the first election after Najib in jail. So I think the Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional are really trying to work on these numbers. But we also have a very different scenario this election, because this time voters are automatically registered. That means once you have an IC, before this you have to register into the electoral roll. No? So those who don't bother to register won't be in the electoral roll. Now in this election, everybody is in the electoral roll, including those 18 years and above. So we don't know where are these young voters going to vote. That is something untested in a general election. Another problem also is 125 seats out of 225 seats are concentrated in semi-rural and rural areas. So indications are Pakatan Harapan might win the popular vote but will lose the election, because most of the automatic registration, most of people work in urban centers. They work in towns, so they'll be voting in Pakatan stronghold. So the scenario is like that, most of the think tanks are saying that this will be a hung parliament, and most likely after the hung parliament, the Perikatan Nasional and the Barisan Nasional will again group up together. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to another issue that has been discussed in the media quite a bit, and that is discussions about whether Pakatan Harapan was going to make an election pact with PSM and also with another group called Muda, so that you would have seats that they would not contest, giving you a better chance to run. Now, tell us the story of this. What led to this speculation, and what was the final outcome?
You see, in Malaysian election, you follow the first past the post elections. In the first past the post election, smaller parties cannot survive. Okay, and that's the fate of PSM in the last election. So a lot of our friends, supporters, civil society movement always want to see PSM in Parliament or State Assembly because they think we have quality candidates and good policies, but they know we can't win any elections because we are not part of a larger coalition. In Malaysia, only coalitions come to power. No single party has ever come to power ever before. So in that sense, PSM looking at the three existing coalition, one is Perikatan Nasional, which is all blamed as the Sheraton move, those who betrayed the earlier government. So they are very unpopular. The Barisan Nasional, the right-wing, corrupt, original, traditional party in Malaysia. And then you have a new party, new coalition started by Mahathir called Gabungan Tanah Air, the peoples of the earth kind of movement. And this Gabungan Tanah Air is a coalition of Islamic and Muslim parties together. So these are the three big coalitions, and Pakatan Harapan. So Pakatan Harapan is, of course, the most progressive among the other four parties, coalitions. So PSM we wrote into them for an electoral pact. Muda wrote into them to join the coalition. So what Pakatan did was they rejected Muda's application to join the coalition, but they agreed on an electoral pact with Muda and with PSM. But when we went into seat negotiation, finally they didn't want to give PSM any single seat. Okay, some say it's ideological, some say the DAP is blocking, they don't want another socialist party inside, because before DAP was the Socialist Front, Socialist Front was the main party then, and then when it was clamped down by the government, those seats were taken over by the DAP. Some say DAP is a Social Democrat Party. A lot of people say it's a right-wing, more centrist to right. But those are arguments given. But so, but there was a lot of hope given in the media as if the electoral pact is going to work. A lot of people were welcoming it at the last. And also the Pakatan was having serious internal problems, trying to get seats for their own members, a lot of fighting and all that. Muda managed to get about 5 seats. Not from PKR, they got it from Amanah, one of the coalition partner. They got all very weak seats. In the sense of PSM, we didn't ask much because we knew our bargaining power was not so strong. We didn't ask many seats. We also asked seats which are not easy, which is not won by Pakatan Harapan. But 6 days before nomination day, they just called it off. They just said there's no seats. So, and we called off the pact because we say, what is a pact without a seat? Because there's nothing there left, So we called it off, and so we have to move on. It's a lesson for us that you have to build your own strength.
Well, before I ask you about PSM's plan for the elections, tell us a bit about Muda, because most people overseas have not heard of this group. And why were they offered some seats, even if I think you meant they were seats that would be very hard for them to win? Is that correct? Who are they, and what is their politics?
See, Muda is a very young party made of very young people. The leader is Syed Saddiq. Syed Saddiq was formerly a member of Bersatu. Those people, many people used to call him a blue-eyed boy of Mahathir. But then he didn't join Mahathir when Mahathir left Bersatu and formed his own party, Pejuang. Syed Saddiq didn't join them, and he formed another party called Muda. And Muda has got a lot of interesting people. You have some progressive young youth who are in Muda. Some PSM good friends are also in Muda. A lot of, and they said we are fed up with the old politics. They look Malaysian politics as an old people politics. Mahathir, Anwar, Lim Kit Siang. They look, this are all like dinosaurs in Malaysian politics. So they put forward a very interesting program, but they're very good in social media. And in the social media, their TikToks gets a lot of traction. But I wouldn't say really whether they would get support in the areas. They're not really a party grounded in grassroots work or what, but on the social media, they appeal, and their policies are quite good, very multiracial. So in that sense, they went into the first election in Johor state election, but they formed an electoral pact with Pakatan Harapan in about 7 seats. 6 seats they had an electoral pact, 1 seat they didn't have, So in the 6 seats, they won 1 seat, but they lost 5 seats. The other 1 seat, they also lost, but they did pretty well, they didn't lose their deposit. So I think for Pakatan Harapan, it was, and they're very strongly backed by the DAP, and the DAP and some party, they feel it's good to have them in. To get but of course there's a lot of resistance by the youth wings of the respective parties. The youth wing of DAP, PKR, Amanah, they don't like this. They find this as a competition. So, but for us, PSM actually, we have a good relationship with Muda. We did, within PSM, we do communicate with Muda, and we do have an understanding that we should work on issues together. Yeah.
So just for the sake of our overseas audience, Muda means youth, right? So it's
yes.
the appeal is to a younger generation of voters. So now let's go to the question of what is the PSM going to do in the election, given that it no longer has any prospect of having a clear run, in any seat. I understand that your leadership has had discussions over the last couple of days. What have you come up with for these elections?
We have we had very short time, after we were when the electoral pact didn't work. the party decided, had a discussion with our national committee, had a huge Zoom meeting with all members can join, and it was quite a difficult task to get consensus. Of course, there were two kinds of feeling within the party. One is to just stand in our strong areas and see how well we do, or go into new areas, because we were looking, balancing this thing. So we decided to take the tougher road. That means we decided to stand in two seats. One is one parliament seat in Rembau. It is a new state which we have never stood before. We thought it's important for us to spread our ideology to a new group of people other than in our existing place. And then in existing place, people might start accusing us of trying to split votes and all that. And you go back into wasting, because the election is just 2 weeks time. In 2 weeks, what is our focus? So we wanted to put our manifesto, okay, this manifesto, which is very people-oriented manifesto, and we thought, let's put two candidates who are very two activists. You always say PSM doesn't have politicians; we have activists. So one is Tina Garan, and we are standing in this parliament seat in Rembau, which is a huge seat, which has 4 state constituents. And so we thought the entire party will move to this Rembau seat and work there for the next 2 weeks. Another seat is a state seat in Perak, Ayer Kuning, where Bawani will be the candidate. And Bawani it's a hometown. So both these are local candidates. So this time there's no like heavyweight, Dr. Kumar is not standing, I'm not standing, there's no, but we are saying that PSM has candidates, we have quality candidates, and we are brave enough to go to rural Malay areas to spread our idea, So this is our minimum program in 2 weeks. Hoping to we find it is better than not to sit out from the election. That's another view, elections are so expensive. You need at least 100,000 ringgit to sit in a constituent. But what was interesting is the minute the electoral off with Pakatan went off, there was so much of sympathy and support for PSM. People started to write in and said, hey, I'll pay the deposit for my party. I'll pay so much money. I'll contribute. Give me your, And in the last, when we decided yesterday, when we don't want to stand in Pakatan seats, suddenly the whole social media, you see everyone praising PSM. You are the most principled party in this country. Shame on Pakatan, you don't know who are your friends, So the move we took, I think, is quite a popular move. But we have to see that you cannot, if you rely on bigger parties just to get seats.
What are the main issues, the important issues for the ordinary people in this election, and what are the kinds of solutions or answers that PSM is going to put forward on these main issues?
You see, on the mainstream, the main issue is Pakatan and Perikatan Nasional is don't bring in Barisan Nasional. If you bring Barisan Nasional, the one MDB scandal, everything will come back. Najib will be given pardon, he'll be back. So the main issue on the mainstream is corruption. But PSM has been, of course, talking more about job security, because job security is a lot of people have lost jobs. And with the new gig economy and all that, actually, people don't earn a stable income. So we have put forward a program on job security, on climate emergency, because we are facing floods, serious floods, and I think PSM is putting forward a very strong case on climate emergency, climate change. And we are also have put forward a number of things like food security. Why you need to change this palm oil and have food, plant more local, plant more food. so that you increase the food security of the people. So we are putting forward those issues, housing, the basic issues. And other parties are also talking about food security, especially because the prices of things have gone up quite a lot. But the main argument is still about corruption. Which is the best prime minister? Is it Anwar Ibrahim, Muhyiddin Yassin, or Ismail Sabri, or Zaid Hamidi? Or of course, there's another person who says if he's chosen, he'll be the prime minister, Mahathir Mohamad.
Thanks, Arul. I think that gives us an idea, and I wish you all the best in your election campaign. And
Thank you.
it's very good to see that at least, even if you didn't get something out of the pact, you got a lot of good publicity, and I think you won a lot of goodwill through the process that over the last few weeks. Thanks very much.
Thank you.